if you did go to Hogwarts, what house is the Sorting Hat putting you into?
There's just no doubt that I would be a Slytherin. Just absolutely no, literally most open and shut case. Yeah, it's just like I think everyone who knows me, probably some people who really love me would be like, "No, you're more of like a Ravenclaw," and I'd be like, "We could just call it like it is, man. It just is what it is, you know."
So I would agree that I would also probably be in Slytherin, but that's my wife, who, like you said, someone who loves me, said Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
For me, and she's a Harry Potter nut. Like she'll watch.
If someone tells you you're Ravenclaw, what they actually mean is they think you're smart, like they have a high opinion of you, but they like you too much to say actually you're just actually a Slytherin. You're just a dick. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Best Ball Bros.
Give me your click, but you don't have to listen.
Oh, you had Gabriel Davis at 67%? Oh, sweetie, that's so hot.
Can I curse on the show?
Absolutely.
I was so fucking bad.
How can I lose? And the answer was by starting Allen Robinson over Jamar Chase.
Well, last year kind of attached myself to Trey Sermon, which hasn't worked out too well.
Bill, if you ever listen to this, I love you. He's just such a boomer now that it's painful.
I did think I was going to play in the NBA when I was like 6.
I'm going to tell Evan Silva they're bored. Went to the bathroom and just like told Evan, hey man, this is the top 15.
People love the life hacks, dude.
All right, welcome to another episode of Best Ball Bros here at Spike Week. I am, of course, your host, Eric Beinfor, and I'm joined by my good friend, you all know him, of course, Davis Mattek, host of the Taekcast, Davis Mattek YouTube channel, Davis Mattek on Twitter. You've seen him probably streaming more than any human could ever possibly stream fantasy football in the last few months. I mean, for your life, but of course, over the last few months, you've taken it to a whole nother level. If anyone has not watched this particular show, Best Ball Bros, I apologize if you're here for some deep strategic content on best ball drafts. We are not going to get into that today. We're going to have a little bit of fun. You're going to get to know Davis a little bit better with some kind of silly questions. Of course, we'll get a little bit of his background, but just have a little bit of fun, ask some weird hypotheticals and some stuff that maybe, you know, even though Davis streams for 5,000 hours a week, you can learn a little something that you haven't heard him talk about on one of these shows. But of course, Davis, how are things? How has that? We're almost to the NFL draft. How has it been grinding out all these drafts?
You know, man, it's great. I kind of took like 3 weeks off of doing the big board stuff to do dingers, and I got like a little behind because I'm streaming all 150 of the big board. So I'm gonna have to really grind it. It got to 88% like pretty quickly. Like basically, I think after the dinger filled, people were like, all right, it's at least time to start thinking about the draft and everything. And now we've got, you know, people are betting on the NFL draft now, like there are lines and stuff up. So I think people they're getting itchy for hot best ball summer.
I'm itchy for hot best ball summer now. I get, you know, I love this. We both love this. We wouldn't do all of these shows and content and everything if we didn't love it. But this is the part of the calendar that I'm like, God, just give me the draft so I can like feel reinvigorated, you know, to start to build some of these teams. The summer is just the best. I think this is going to be an awesome summer for best ball with all the changes and everything that we've had. Pretty fun rookie class coming in. Going to be a ton of fun. But first, Davis, before we start to dive into some of the fun questions. So I think, you know, you've certainly told this kind of story and your background and everything before, but can you just like quickly go, you know, Davis Mattek was born. Now Davis Mattek is streaming around the clock best ball content. Like how the hell did we get here?
My grandmother found some advertisement for a guy who needed someone to like blog on his blog about sports when I was 18. And I did that. And I got paid a little bit of money for doing it. Don't really remember the specifics. Then I started my own podcast and YouTube channel. Really wish I would have kept with that, by the way. Just going all the way back to like, wow, if I would have just stuck with that, I I mean, I'd basically be the Mr. Beast. I mean, we're talking like this would have been 5 years before the fantasy footballers had even heard of YouTube, probably. David Kitchen reaches out to me. He finds me. He employs me to write for fantasysports.org. And then basically everything in between that and there, you can kind of fill in the blanks. But that is basically what happened. I've worked some full-time jobs. I worked for Sports Grid before that. I worked for a B2B DFS. Basically, I was doing salaries for a B2B European DFS company was basically my job. That. Yeah, I did that for 2 years. You guys probably know Chris Neville, pretty big in the DK streets. He was the one who reached out to me for that. And so that is my entirety of my adult working experience, working for David Kitchen, working for Chris Neville, and working with Drew and Mike at Roto Grinders or at Daily Roto.
Daily Roto. Yeah, I missed the Daily Roto days. So, but if you didn't go down this path, right? 18-year-old you was like, I don't know how I feel about this writing about fantasy sports stuff. What do you think you would be doing?
I mean, I wanted to be basically like a lifelong egghead. Like I wanted to get my master's in creative writing and then probably get my doctorate in probably would have ended up being like classical literature. So I would have just been a teacher. I would have just been I would have been talking 8 hours a day, but instead of talking about how to win the big board, I would have been talking about Shakespeare, basically. And getting paid somehow less money in that than there is in best ball streaming. But that really would have been, I mean, I wanted to write books and teach, but yeah, that I actually did almost go to grad school. My advisor in the English department was like, "Oh, you'll definitely get in. We'd love to have you." Yeah, and I really almost did it. So even being in the space, I almost left the space.
K-State, right? You went to K-State.
Yeah.
Would you have gone to grad school at K-State also?
Yeah, I went to a junior college for 2 years immediately out of high school. My grades were not very good in high school. I did a bunch of drugs and got in a bunch of trouble in high school. So I did junior college for 2 years to fix my grades, and then went to K-State. Yeah, but K-State Manhattan.
One of the football teams that I remember the most growing up, and one of the very first football jerseys I ever purchased with my own money was an L. Roberson jersey.
Wow.
From K-State.
I loved L. Roberson. In fact, I actually got to see L. Roberson play a couple times, because I grew up, about 45 minutes away from Manhattan. That is a name I've not thought of in a long time, but what a truly special player L. Roberson was. One of the prototypes, really. If L. Roberson came around now,
oh my gosh,
we'd be like, dude, first round draft pick. He was better than Jalen Milroe.
I was just about to say, what's the tangible difference between him, Jalen Milroe, and L. Roberson? It's just Roberson was in the era that you remember, same era, Eric Crouch, who was like, we don't care if you win the Heisman. We don't care how good you are as a college quarterback. If you're doing a lot of damage with your legs, you're going to have to play wide receiver in college or in the pros. And most of those guys, either couldn't or like Crouch just didn't, even though the Rams drafted him, not knowing that he wouldn't care to play wide receiver. But yeah, that was, Sproles and Roberson. Yeah, we have NCAA football back now in our lives, but we had it, we had it then for like some time. It was always, that was K-State always play the dynasty with K-State because of Roberson and Sproles.
Sproles was Josh Norman. He from my hometown, Josh Norman, who stuck around in the NFL for a long time. Like I think he was like a Bengal like 4 years ago or something at like 30. My time frames are probably wrong, but he played in the NFL. I got to fact check myself. I want to say he played until he was 36. Yeah. 2023. He was a Buffalo Bill. That's phenomenal stuff.
There was a time where he was not Revis, but viewed as like the dude, like the we don't throw to that. Like if you get him, you have a good defense. They don't throw to his side.
he finished 4th in Defensive Player of the Year in 2015 for that really good Carolina Panthers team that that went to the Super Bowl.
Those are the good old days. I miss those. NFL days. We're gonna end up down these rabbit holes, and I somehow will have a question that somehow correlates to these ridiculous rabbit holes that we went down. But there's this question, since we're speaking of obscure players, and of course, some touting of these guys. Who's the most obscure NFL player that you've touted, like top of mind?
First name that comes to mind is this Packers running back. This is a long time ago, and I don't even remember. DeJuan Harris. This would have been like maybe 2014 Packers, something like that. He maybe he was a Jaguar too for a while. He ended up like becoming like, this is like a joke. Normally when people say this, they're like creating a comparison, but he ended up being a car salesman. A lot of these guys back in the day in RotoViz. DeJuan Harris, yes, and he was a Jaguar, was a 49er, 145 career carries. I mean, I touted lots of guys who never even made the NFL. Nick Toon, Al Toon's son.
Oh yeah,
loved he played at Wisconsin. Loved him. I mean, I could go pull up my old RotoViz archives and be that's like, I would say that's almost maybe my specialty is finding the most obscure, ridiculous guys and be like, if he just got a chance, he would be really good. Who was before Andy Isabella on the Ravens? Michael Campanaro, Wake Forest. Michael Campanaro. Wow, yeah. I want to say he maybe even came around and played in the XFL. Maybe my time frames might be Campanaro. Yeah, Michael Campanaro, 2014, 2017, did get to 43 NFL receptions.
Oh wow!
So
I would not have guessed. I would not have guessed that he had 43 catches.
Man, he was awesome at Wake Forest, though. He was a sight to be seen.
Isabella is it's so funny that you bring him up, because I think that's like, I know he came around in 2019, but that's still like in terms of like what I would call like our new like modern fantasy football is like
that was pre-modern era.
Yes. We're like going back to the Campaneros, and DeJuan Harris's, and everybody's got those guys. I was a Rams fan, and I thought Greg Salas was like,
Hawaii,
just crushed. Caught like 4,000 balls at Hawaii, and we were, the Rams were coming off the greatest show on turf era, and you're like, okay, we're getting into a more passing friendly form of football, and I'm like, oh my God, Sam Bradford, Greg, we had Bradford then, the Rams had Bradford then. I'm like, no receivers. That's when it ended up being the Danny Amendola show for the Rams. But I thought Salas and some Austin Pettis, and I thought those guys were going to be good with the Rams.
I'll never forget Austin Pettis or Greg Salas. Those names are burned in my mind.
The other one I'll just tell quickly along those same lines of like obscure player that I touted or thought was going to be good. Similar to your like early days of writing, I was just obsessed with football and fantasy football, but I was writing a little more football. Me and one buddy started like a Rams blog back when they were still in St. Louis, and I was a diehard Rams fan. And so we would go to training camp every year, like go post up at training camp, watch all the practices, take notes. I'm like 21 or something like that. And it was that era, Salas and Pettis and those guys. But we drafted Lance Kendricks in the second round. Stuck around for a long time. But second round pick out of Wisconsin. And I was like, he's an intriguing prospect. But then I went and watched, and he was the best player on the field for the offense at that time. They're in shorts. So Steven Jackson was the best player on the offense. But, when they're in shorts and T-shirts, and I was like, holy shit, this guy's, the greatest tight end I've ever seen in my life. And it just turns out that the whole team was terrible. So he looked really good, but the guys he was playing against were really bad. But that was one of those like quasi hit, because he stuck around till he was like 35 or something, but he just was never really good. But I bet we could do a whole show of just like obscure, like remember that name. Yep. Do the bro meme of guys will sit around all day and name
no, but I really will. I mean, that just gives me like absolute and utter joy.
It really is the best. So my favorite question that I'm definitely going to ask everybody, I'm going to ask various questions on the show to everyone that joins me, but the one that I find the most fascinating is, so you mentioned in high school, you had some ups and downs, as we all did. If one of those turned into something really catastrophic and you did something terrible and you wound up on death row, what would Davis Mattek's death row last meal be?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot because you can either go one of two ways. I think you go for like your guilty pleasure, like, oh man, I'm about to die and I just really need some comfort. Or you can go the other way and you're like, I just want the most ridiculous, expensive bullshit in the world. Like they got to give it to me. So hammer it down. But I think end of the day, I just want like a really, really good T-bone, just like the most fire, grass-fed beef T-bone, baked potato, and they don't. I don't even think, does Red Lobster even exist anymore? They might. I think
Yes,
they.
because there's one not that far away from me, but it's like the only one I've seen in a, in a decade.
You want the Cheddar Bay biscuits, and they used to have this crazy dessert when I was a kid. Like one of my rewards would be like getting to go out to dinner at Red Lobster.
Mhm.
And they would have it was like the best possible version, and this is probably like nostalgia poisoning in my mind of the hot brownie sundae. The brownie
Yep.
was always so hot, and the
I
ice
remember
cream was
this.
so good.
Yes.
They're
Mhm.
so, I don't know what it's. I've never been able to replicate that from anywhere else in my life. But whatever that was, and that's a good mix, I think, of the nostalgia and just like, I mean, come on, who's gonna turn down a T-bone steak? I'm gonna meet my maker full of red meat.
That's so funny because it was my mother-in-law's birthday last night, so we had dinner at their house, and the dessert was brownie with ice cream on top of it. So that's ironic, but also I told a story of my high school best friend. We his parents were out at their military. His parents were out of town. He was staying at our house, and same thing. Like, we didn't come from a lot of wealth, so Red Lobster was like, the like, this is your treat. This is, we're gonna go eat out
Yes.
something expensive, right?
When you are a upper lower middle lower upper middle class person in the Midwest, Red Lobster is like that's like going to Peter Luger's or whatever. You're like, this is as good as it gets around here.
Yes, there's definitely some nostalgia factor in there for sure. Although, like you said, the Cheddar Bay biscuits have held up for a long time, and every time I walk past them at the grocery store, I'm like, should I get those?
Yeah,
'Cause,
should
like,
I get
would eat,
those?
yeah, like,
Should we buy those? Yeah.
every single time. So you're doing this full time now, right? And obviously the people see you streaming drafts, updating rankings, whatever, probably participating in Discord, tweeting, blah blah blah. But like, what does the normal day look like? You're living a normal life, but you're living a very non-normally structured life, right? To the other person who drives into work, comes home, has dinner, hangs out with the family. What does your normal like day look like? Weekday, let's say weekday.
Weekday, I get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, you messaged me at like 5 a.m. this morning, and I was like, Jesus Christ, Davis.
Yeah.
You are up
so
early.
so my wife has always been a morning person. I was not a morning person before we started living together. And she is a speech language pathologist. So she goes to work every day, and fun fact, but she works with like old people, not kids.
Oh, okay.
And so old people, it like basically they're most receptive actually in the morning. Like their brains are like cognitively so basically, long story short, she gets up really early in the morning, just works best for her job. And when we moved into this house, I basically was like, okay, so I'm just going to get up, and because when we moved in, we had 2 dogs, like they're getting up, like I'm not just going to stay asleep. So what am I going to do? I'm either going to train myself to fall back asleep every day or what? Play video games? Like what am I going to do at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning? It's like, I'll just get up and start going to the gym. Been meaning to do it. So that's what I do. Like every day I just get up and go to the gym at 5. I get home around 7:30, come in, have a cup of coffee. Normally I make my thumbnail for whatever I'm doing that day then. And I sit down and do that, and then I go and walk the puppy, and then basically I'm down here. So the people can't see this. I'm in an unfinished basement right now. You can't really tell on this, but this is, everywhere around me is concrete and stuff. So I spend as much time upstairs as possible. But yeah, basically I'll be down here from like 9 to 4 or so, just doing streaming, writing, updating rankings, figuring out scheduling other stuff. I mean, that like scheduling stuff, getting guests, just like whatever, busy work. I did my taxes last week. That took a really, really long time.
Also, really painful when you're on your own too. When you're out,
just miserably and especially so like for my 2024 taxes,
you're like
I was half W-2, half 1099. So I didn't maybe theoretically for 2025 I could get my shit enough together to start doing quarterly, but there was no chance in 2024 I was going to get it. So that was a mess. And then I get done around 3:30, 4:30, whatever, go upstairs, take the dog on a walk, have dinner. If it's really nice out, I'll go hit golf balls. And then, yeah, dude, I'm in bed by like 8:30, like lights out. Read. I mean, that's what, if I'm going to get up at 5 a.m, I can't. I have some buddies who are like, who go to my same gym. They're like, oh no, like I stayed up and watched the end of Jaguars Titans last night. And I'm like, buddy, that is not me. Like I need my 8 hours, brother.
It's so funny because I'm definitely not a morning person. I've done it at certain points in my life, but now, like, my wife works from home, I work from home. We don't have kids. We don't have any real tangible reason to get up super early, so I am not incentivized at all, and enjoy staying up and watching like the West Coast basketball games or whatever. And so I am definitely not awake when you are awake. I also, this office is in my basement, but it is miserably cold down here, and I can't sit in the same spot. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it says about me. I can't sit in the same spot and just like work all day. Like even at my desk, it's much better with my monitors and everything, but I'll work from here for a while. I'll go up and sit in the living room where there's like some sunlight and it's warmer. Then I'm like, okay, I got to go I take the dogs for a walk during the middle of the day as like a break, go to the gym. Like my schedule is complete and utter nonsense. There is no like real structure to it, but I think it's just like, that's how my brain works. I can't just like sit and work on the same thing for like 5 hours in a row in the same place.
No, I get up and wander around, I go upstairs, I grab some almonds, let the dog out in the backyard. Like I'm definitely not like sitting straight here locked in, but I mean, like if I'm doing, sometimes I'll have like back to back shows scheduled and just be like, dude, fuck. I just sat at my desk for 6 hours. Like I need some sunlight. I need to touch some grass. That is like, some days I have less to do than others. Like I guess today, the first thing I had to do wasn't even until 11. I got some other stuff done and like worked ahead or whatever a little bit, but like theoretically I could have just dicked around. Like I could have just been like, oh, all right, we're going to go to the library. We're going to go to the grocery store, like whatever. I didn't. Cause the thing is I feel like if I gave myself that lack of structure, then I really wouldn't be able to like lock in every day. Like if I'm not like, all right, dude, you just got to be at your desk. You got to find something to do. You got to start knocking stuff down. I used to play a lot of FIFA, like a lot of video games. And at my old job, like I could just play video games at noon. Like I don't have to be on a call, nothing's due. Like I could just go play video games at noon. But like now that I am my own boss and in control of this, like no one's going to yell at me if work doesn't get done, but like it's going to be an issue. So I just did not buy the 2025 version of FIFA because I was like, you just can't even give yourself the option, dude. Because my TV, my big screen and my PlayStation's like right behind this. It's like, nah, I'll turn it on. I'll play a game or two. And then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, dude, it's 3:00. You haven't done shit all day. You've done nothing.
That really is funny. I also used to play a lot more when I wasn't, when you weren't your own boss. And like I bought the new MLB The Show. I haven't even downloaded it or whatever. Like I just spent $60 or whatever it was and haven't touched it because, like you said, like I think you probably feel this too. You feel when you do something that helps like make you money, or not even just make you money, right? But grow your followers, or you check something off the list, right? Update rankings, whatever, schedule tweets. Like you feel like, you gained something.
Yeah, you
from
checked it
Like
off. You checked it off the list. You get some good dopamine release from that.
when you're just working for the man, sometimes it's easy to not, maybe that makes me a bad employee, and maybe I was in my past life, but you just feel, I feel like a much greater like sense of accomplishment when you check something off, and then you get the dopamine. You're like, okay, what's next now what I want to chase that again.
100%. Yeah, it's all about doing that game and getting a good dopamine release. And like a lot, like sometimes, like if I get really in a rhythm, I will that's as good as beating a video game. Like something I'm trying to do right now, people just like insist that ChatGPT is making their lives easier, and they're like, oh, they're doing AI for all these processes and it's changing their world. And I'm like, I can't get this fucking thing to do anything for me. I just can't. I cannot get this. And maybe I'm bad at prompts. Maybe I just don't understand. So like 2 to 5 hours a week, I'm sitting down watching YouTube videos, doing whatever, trying to just be like, how can I get AI to do something to make my life easier? The one thing I've gotten an AI model to do for me that works is to collate underdog player IDs to projections, and then RNG the rankings for daily stuff for baseball and for basketball.
Yep.
That's like the one thing I've gotten it to do for me properly. And that in and of itself, I was like, wow, you're a genius for and but other than that, I'm still exploring.
That is impressive. Yeah, I'm much more in a similar boat to you. I need to spend more time, not even just like using ChatGPT or AI. There's tons of resources out there to make your life easier. It's just, you're like, I could either sit here, do what I've always done, right? Update these rankings manually or whatever your process is, or I could spend 5 hours and learn how to automate it. And you're like, I know inherently that's going to save me a lot of time in the future, but in this moment, I don't want to do it. I just want to
insanely tilting. Yeah.
Let's see. What were we talking? Oh yeah, you mentioned, we both mentioned the grocery store in the last several minutes. When you go to the grocery store, are you a self-checkout guy or a regular checkout guy?
Unless I'm just running in really quick. Like I ran in real quick this morning. I've been trying to, you can't buy egg whites in St. Louis right now. Whoever the seller of egg whites is, I looked into it. Or no, someone tweeted this at me. In the Midwest, the biggest egg white producer, whatever, had some issue with not the eggs themselves, but the cleaning supply was contaminated. So like there was like basically like 2 months worth of egg whites are wiped out. And I grabbed a couple other things, like $20 worth of stuff. And I use self-checkout. But if I did the big shop, like meat, veggies, like whatever, regular checkout 100% of the time. I hate self-checkout. It mostly sucks.
Yeah, it definitely like I would love to see the actual, maybe I should just look it up. I would love to see the actual research on like how they're quantifying how, I know it's saving money, right, from a salary perspective, but it's definitely not saving time. And you're definitely making your employees' lives more miserable. Like every time, an error happens or whatever, or even just like you're buying booze or something like that, you're buying something that you have to be over 18 or over 21, and the person's got to come over, the light goes off and they got to come over and check your ID and punch in the little code. I'm like, this process sucks so much worse than just putting stuff on the conveyor belt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely worse. I just, add it, make it a tax or something. If it's really like, give me like a 1% tax. I think I'd pay
it. I think
1% tax on my groceries for regular checkout. Yeah.
And to have more, now you go to whatever store and there's 2 people at the 2 actual human employees or whatever checking people out. So even if you wanted to do it, now you're pissed off because you're waiting in line much longer. It's like, let's all pay just a tiny tick more. We'll employ more people, which could certainly be nice right about now. And everybody will be happier. You'll just walk up, throw your shit on there. Don't have to think about it. Don't have to scan stuff. That would be nice. Mention, so if we think that's worse, losing stores can also be worse. What's a store that has gone out of business that if you could only pick one to bring back, right? And it stays, whether it's profitable or not, it stays open forever. What would that one store be?
God. Man, because I love that stuff too. Because I so nostalgia poison. I love like old bookshops or card stores. I would say the Arena, which was the card store in Salina, Kansas. That would be it. I mean, he had sports cards, Pokemon cards, all that stuff. That would be. There's no way it exists anymore. If it does still exist in Salina, Kansas, shout out to Todd was the name of the guy who ran it. There's no way, but that would definitely be. In terms of like chains, I don't really think I have like a beloved one that closed. I don't in terms of chains, I don't think so. But yeah, mom and pop card store, mom and pop bookshop. Yeah, that's a used bookstore in every small municipality in St. Louis.
That's a great answer. The card stores definitely. I mean, I remember. My God, you get your allowance or whatever, however you scrummage up some money, and being like, "Where are we going?" The card store. Like the first place that I was going. Turn 2 was the sports card shop here around me. I remember just being in there endlessly. My wife is like an avid reader. Like I've never seen anyone read like this woman does. Insane. And so bookstore, there's actually a new like used bookstore that opened up near us. That's pretty cool. It's an old bank. So like they even have like you walk through and the vault is open, and they use the vault to display like all these. It's a really super cool building. I don't have much hope that it's gonna stick given the industry, but we're hoping. Sick. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. I would you say that what's it called? Blockbuster is probably like the chalk answer. Like, if we were doing Family Feud and we would say, what would people answer to this question? I feel like our generation, the most people would say Blockbuster.
Yeah, but what they don't even mean that. What they mean is they just want to go. They just want that feeling of going in on Friday, picking the movie, picking up your $5 Hot and Ready's Little Caesars pizza, and some Milk Duds. That's all. That's all you really want back if you're being honest with yourself. But I actually I've been to the last Blockbuster on Earth in Bend, Oregon.
I've seen the documentary. I haven't been though.
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Yeah, I went. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it's like you can't rent a movie, dude, because you don't have a VHS. You don't even have a DVD player. Like theoretically, if you wanted to, you could go rent. What are you gonna buy a DVD too? You're not gonna buy a DVD. You're not.
There's a guy in my Discord, shout out Vadim, who collects. I can't remember if it's the traditional DVDs or Blu-rays, one of the two, but he collects them. He goes around and get this insane, like truly
then yes,
insane.
He would love that. Yeah.
Speaking of movies, this is a pretty straightforward one. If you had to pick your top 3 movies, what would they
be? Okay, huge distinction. Top 3 favorite or top 3 best? Because there really is a distinction in that. Because best is not the same thing as favorite.
You can pick.
All right, I'll go top 3 favorite because that's more fun, anyways.
Like you'll rewatch this one, or like it gives you the most joy or whatever, as opposed to
I always say it's the one that if it's on cable and you're in a hotel and you're skipping through, you're stopping 10 out of 10. Rounders, Pulp Fiction, and the OG Star Wars. I think those that would be those would definitely be the ones I've seen the most in my life. Like I've probably seen Rounders 72 times. Yeah. And honestly, probably same for Pulp Fiction and probably same for Star Wars. I've just seen them a billion times, and I have never been skipping through channels and not stopped on Star Wars.
That's interesting. I don't know that I would have pegged you as the Star Wars guy, especially when you started with Rounders and Pulp. I was like, okay, this jives. And Pulp
Big
Fiction
Star Wars guy.
Easily
Big
on
Star
my
Wars
list.
Guy.
So Star Wars over kind of all the other. I don't mean to be rude to the nerd folks, but the all the kind of obviously Star Trek and
I've never
Potter
even
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I read the Harry Potter books. The movies might have just I liked the movies when they were in theaters, but weirdly, I think I actually was too old to develop nostalgia for the movies. Like I
Yeah,
enjoyed them when
yeah.
they were out,
We
but
were the book generation.
by the time the last one came out, I would have been in my 20s, I think.
Mhm.
So it's like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a core, whereas the books were. Never watched Star Trek for whatever reason. Not that I have anything against it, just never hit me that way. Yeah, I think for nerd culture,
Like Lord of the Rings or anything like that, nothing.
I mean,
holds up to the-
I've got that's the big Lord of the Rings
Nice.
right there. I read Lord of the Rings when I was like 10, and then I
Mhm.
actually read it again last summer. But I mean, Lord of the Rings is like the best, and the movies are amazing, but there's less of it to engage with. I mean, there's just so much Star Wars. Like Star Wars is like its own whole other
Oh yeah.
culture now because it's so big and there's so much shit to engage with.
So since I asked about Harry Potter and you have read Harry Potter, if you did go to Hogwarts, what house is the Sorting Hat putting you into?
There's just no doubt that I would be a Slytherin. Just absolutely no, literally most open and shut case. Yeah, it's just like I think everyone who knows me, probably some people who really love me would be like, "No, you're more of like a Ravenclaw," and I'd be like, "We could just call it like it is, man. It just is what it is, you know."
So I would agree that I would also probably be in Slytherin, but that's my wife, who, like you said, someone who loves me, said Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
For me, and she's a Harry Potter nut. Like she'll watch.
If someone tells you you're Ravenclaw, what they actually mean is they think you're smart, like they have a high opinion of you, but they like you too much to say actually you're just actually a Slytherin. You're just a dick. Yeah.
That's it. That is 100% the case for
100%.
me, for sure. I know you've done podcasts for a very long time. Do you have any specific favorites? You don't have to limit it to a number, but any that just are like a core part of your life, your habits?
Oh, so many. I mean, I bet you might not experience this, but I can't really listen to that much fantasy football stuff. Like I'm looking at my app right now, and I subscribe to all of them just because I'm like, hey man, the download for my friends.
we know it matters. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at like the last one I listened to. The last one I listened to would have been a long time ago. I mean, I am a huge Huberman Lab guy. I love the Good Doctor. I know he's like a controversial figure now, but I do still love him.
He didn't used to be, but like anyone who gets very famous very fast, that tends to happen.
Yeah, and like, do I let any person tell me what to do with my life? No, not exactly. My absolute favorite podcast is called The Rest Is History. It's these two British authors, Dominic Sambrook and Tom Holland, doing exactly what it sounds like. It's just weekly 45-minute to an hour episodes about historical events. I would say that's like my number one. Like that shows up in my feed. Listen to it immediately.
Auto listen.
And actually, and my favorite sports one is a soccer podcast called The Guardian Football Weekly, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is just like recaps and previews, because I don't always get to watch soccer. A lot of it because it's on in the middle of the day when I'm working, and that keeps me plugged in. I find listening to British people do podcasts like United Kingdom people is great because it's like such a way of like logging out of American existence. I find, I don't know, I just have realized that over the last couple months, like a lot of the podcasts I like to listen to are not done by Americans. They're not plugged into the culture here, which is great. Sign me up for that. Yeah, get me out of that.
Yeah, it does feel like a way to separate in a very funny way. I know that I think we've talked about this before in the past. I was at like a podcast crossroads for this NBA season because from a sports perspective,
so brutal, man.
The stuff I listen to, like you said, I don't really listen to that. Like over the summer, like, I mean, I find like what you guys do with ship chasing and all that kind of stuff, like just super entertaining. So it's like, I don't listen to every one, but sometimes I'm like, I'll just go for a laugh and listen to these guys talk some some best ball or fantasy football or whatever. But I don't listen to like a ton. Like, no offense to like fantasy footballers and stuff. That's not my cup of tea. But I like to listen to NBA stuff because I love nerding out over like the sports stuff. Like, if you want to talk for 45 minutes about the ninth man on the Brooklyn Nets, like, I'm
sign me
in.
up. Sign me up. Zach Lowe podcast obviously is back now, which is great. What I listened to when
I got
he went away,
truly excited when Zach Lowe. I was like it was like, it made my day. I was like, there's nothing that could happen the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'm getting way more plugged in now just because I'm gonna have a twice weekly update. But I listened to a lot this year. The Nate Duncan Dunked On NBA show. That was what I used to fill the period. But those dudes, like, they do like 7 hours of podcast a week, which is like, shout out because there's a membership. So I'm like, I'm definitely getting what I'm paying for, but it's a lot of podcasting. They cover it all.
Yeah. Can't imagine you laughing at someone, not laughing, right? But being like, oh, someone else is podcasting for 7 hours a week. Like, Davis, you're
it's the exact opposite. I absolutely admire the grind. Like, I love in other people who do content, people who are as fascinated by the minutia of what they're interested in as I am. So that's why I love those guys, because they'll know about Eric Gordon's cap hold in 2028 and like how that impacts, a trade exception or whatever. Like, they are as locked in as it gets.
Yep. I love that too. The team I root for the most in like all of sports is the St. Louis Billikens basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
So like a mid-major, but there's just like nothing better than rooting for this like obscure, like, every mid-major, basketball or football or baseball or whatever team is like an underdog, right? Like, just making the NCAA tournament is like a, school changing event for that thing or whatever. So same thing, like listening to something and these guys talking about, the 3-star recruits that these guys are all these shitty college teams are going after is just the best. But we got to do, obviously Davis has done not just, ADP chasing and all this kind of stuff. You guys probably might have even known him first from the Swolecast. I remember the Silva days and all the OG Swolecast days, and just one of the most fun fantasy football shows, DFS shows, whatever the hell we want. I don't even know what lifestyle shows.
What
now.
is it?
Yeah. No one knows. I don't know what category you guys click when you created the
fantasy
stuff.
It's the fantasy football comedy hour now.
Yeah. Pete's life has come full circle. That's exactly what it is. But there, hold on. So you've heard of start bench cut, start bench trade, right? We're doing Swolecast edition.
Oh God!
You have to start one, bench one, and trade one. We'll do trade because cutting is a little mean. David Kitchen, Tuttle, and Peter Overzet.
I'm definitely starting Tuttle. Whatever you need, Tuttle is going to be there. I've known Dan, obviously for a long time, benching Peter, and I'm trading David. Although let's be honest, everyone on the Swolecast is a cut candidate. At any moment, those are all, we are all guys who, if the amnesty clause was reintroduced, we would all be candidates for the amnesty clause for sure.
You're on expiring contracts.
We're expiring deals. Yeah, trade us into cap space, if at all possible. That is our driving force for sure.
Oh God, that's good. All right, let's get into. So you kind of talked about soccer and stuff, but favorite sports outside of football, is that soccer? What are you most interested in outside of football?
Man, I tell you what, I like football, but football is not any different to me than basketball or soccer or golf. Like, if golf was the biggest sport and you could stream 900 hours of golf content, I would do that. If the appetite was there for basketball, I would do that. I think the only sports that like you could put on and I wouldn't like know anything would be like college hoops. I just don't have the.
I mean, it's
the
a
wherewithal.
Chore, dude. There's 364 teams.
Too many teams. I went to K-State. They were not very good. I root for Oklahoma. they've had some, Austin Reeves was a Sooner, Trae Young was a Sooner,
Blake Griffin.
Buddy Hield, Blake Griffin. Like they've had some good teams, but like Oklahoma's a football school. It's like Alabama has this great basketball team right now. And like, I don't know, man, how many people in Alabama really care? They're like, yeah, dude, but this new quarterback we have and this, like who greater viewership, the Elite Eight Bama game of people in Alabama or their spring game that's probably coming up soon, like the spring game for sure. I honestly probably soccer. Soccer, I would say, is my second favorite sport, and basketball. Yeah, I would say. I love basketball. It's a great game, and the Thunder are really good right now. Which,
have you been to a game?
Easier to watch.
Have you been to a Thunder game?
I've been to like 5 or 6. And all randomly, they ended up being like huge games. I went to Kobe's like 3rd to last game ever. Maybe not. It would have been Kobe's final season. I don't know where it fell in the continuum. So I got to see Kobe play. And in college, when I was at K-State, it was the 73-9 Golden State year. Golden State's coming to Oklahoma City. I'm like, guys, come on. This is like legendary. Like they're going to go. They're going to beat the record. We got to go. It's like a 4-hour drive. No one wanted to go with me. I said, you know what? There's a casino about 30 minutes away. I can just go play cards all day, make some money, and then go to the game. So that's what I did. I drove down. I played 2-5 no limit hold'em for like 6 hours, and then I went to Golden State at Oklahoma City. Basically, the best regular season game of the last 20 years. Durant gets ejected. Curry makes the 35-footer to put it into overtime. Like just like Clay had like 38. Russell had a triple-double. It was like the most insane regular season game. And then I've been with my wife a couple times because I was like, you just need to experience this. It's really cool. Going to a basketball game and getting kind of close is like unbelievable.
Absolutely unbelievable. That's been like you mentioned, Kobe. I kind of had as our generation of superstar, LeBron. Obviously, Kobe has been gone, but Steph and all these guys, KD and stuff. I was like, I haven't seen any of these guys live. Like I've only been to a handful of NBA games over the last 10 years, and I was like, I just decided that was my. Some people want to go see every baseball park or whatever. I was like, I want to go not to every NBA arena, but I want to see, like, I need to see Steph, LeBron, KD, everybody before, and then of course I want to see Wemby and I want to see Shea and I want to see all these superstars or whatever. So that's what me and some buddies started this year to go check out. A bunch of people went to OKC and saw same thing. The Warriors came to town, and I was like, I've been to some NBA games and like, it's fine. Like environment wise, I'm like, this felt like going to like Cameron Indoor and watching a Duke Carolina game. The Thunder fans are nuts. It is an insane environment. So anybody that likes the NBA, I highly recommend it. Like it was a ton of fun.
You should go. And I mean, obviously, like you can go to the playoffs now, and it's like tickets are in conference finals and finals. Obviously, they're going to be insane. But like you could get into, I don't know, a Nuggets. I bet you get into a Nuggets playoff game for $200.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah,
not crazy. Pepsi Arena is very cool too. It's like a cool part of town. Yeah.
Stay at the hotel for anybody if you want to star watch the hotel. It's literally right across a 2-lane road from the arena. I forget what it's called, but that's where we stayed, and that's where usually the opposing teams stay. So like it was on TNT. Like Grant Hill just comes walking in. The Warriors, like Pajemski's just in the lobby. You're just like, if you like the star watching and seeing these guys in person, and yes, they are so much bigger than you even like the dudes who look like Steph and being 6'3" or whatever. You're like, he looks so little on the NBA floor.
You think they're small, dude? No, it's nuts. It's nuts how big they are. Yes.
Absolutely crazy. So let's get to some sports stuff. Well, this is somewhat fantasy related, but I like this one. You got arrested. Couldn't call a family member. Can't call your wife. Can't call your parents. Whatever. What fantasy football analysts would you call to come bail you out of jail?
Peter Jennings, because he would just be like, "Oh, what's $25,000? Sure, whatever." Yeah, I would call C. Well, it'd be hard to get him on the phone though. He probably wouldn't answer.
He wouldn't
on first
answer.
ring.
If he did happen to answer, he would for sure get you out of whatever
He would
trouble
for sure
you're
do
in.
it.
But I don't think he would answer.
Then Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins would answer if I called. If he saw my number calling, Andrew Wiggins would answer. So that's my answer.
That's good. Here's what we were talking about, some podcasts. Have you ever had like the moment where somebody did something on a podcast, said something, did something, whatever, and you were just like, nope, I'm done. I'm done with this show. That one annoyed me, or right, it's just a pet peeve.
So I actually
You don't have to call the people out.
No, I just had this experience. So I just watched Twin Peaks for the first time ever, the old David Lynch TV show. And I was like, oh, sick. I'm going to listen to a podcast while I do it. And after every time I watch an episode, I'll have a podcast to listen to. It'll be great. And one of the guys on my Discord recommended one to me, and I was like, sick. Put it on. I made it through like 7 minutes, and they were just bad. They didn't do anything. They were just bad at podcasting. Just like mumbling, like just like it just was bad, not focused. I mean, I couldn't even really put my thumb on it, but you know it when you hear it.
Yeah.
And I think because I just am a professional and I've been doing this for so long, and I just know what a good cadence and a rhythm is. Like if someone's bad at it, like I'm just done. I'm over it. So I'm more likely to stick around for you saying something that I disagree with than if you're just not a good podcaster.
Yeah, I don't really care. Yeah, it's the I tune in, of course, for the subject matter, but also for kind of like camaraderie or, stuff like that. So like you said, if you're not really like getting to anything, you're not like you said, it's just like two drunk idiots mumbling or whatever. I'm like, I'll down to listen to, like, how this goes. Sometimes we just shoot the shit, right? I'll tune in to listen to you and Pat go down some stupid rabbit hole that actually has nothing to do, with anything that I care about or whatever.
Many such cases.
But right, that's entertaining. I care about that more than like the subject matter, right? Or your factual arguments. Like I don't really give a shit about any of that. You're talking about video games earlier, so this is probably another good one. Top 3. Let's do, so like if there was a year of FIFA or a year of Madden, do you recall like what would be your top 3 video games ever?
Easy. FIFA 17, perfect video game experience. It was the first year they really expanded Ultimate Team, like the card collecting tournament game inside of it. So it was the first year they had like Weekend League. The first year they had these things called squad building challenges where you collect the cards to get a reward. 10 out of 10. Been chasing that dopamine experience.
For a decade.
For a decade. Football Manager, pick a year. Football Manager is... No one who listens to this should ever play it. You'll lose a week of your life, because if you're listening to this, you're probably a nerd like me. Like if I allow myself to start, which I did in January, it's like, all right, football, slow down a little bit. Like I'm going to play. And I lost like 40 hours, just like evaporated. And Uncharted, the second Uncharted, the one where they like go underneath a mountain into this like secret hidden, it's about as good as a cinematic video game style can be. And like Last of Us is great.
Last of Us kind of like came from that era of Uncharted, like kicked off that, like it's like a movie but you play it a little bit type deal.
Yes. And just like it's more I was a little bit older when I played The Last of Us, but Uncharted is probably my favorite like RPG style game of all time.
That's a good one. I remember the first Uncharted more than the second Uncharted, but yeah, that's when I was peak video game for sure during that little era.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite, not to besmirch the rest of your guests from the Taekcast, but do you have a favorite one that you'll like, always tell that story?
Easy. Jeff Janis. Easy.
Not
even close.
Answer, yeah.
He was the best. He like was totally in on the joke, kind of like, not the joke, but he was like, wow, there are just all these nerds on the internet who are obsessed with me for like no reason. Like that is crazy that like I'm the 6th practice squad wide receiver on the Packers and all these dudes love me. And it was after the experience of being in the NFL. So he was like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers didn't like me. Aaron Rodgers just like didn't want me to be on the team for no reason. So he was like if it would have been earlier in his career, he probably would not have said any of that stuff. He would have been like, just happy to be here. I'm putting my shift in. But he'd basically been blackballed by this asshole for no reason who wanted Jake Kumaro instead. Yeah, so Jeff Janis is definitely the best.
That's a great one. Let's see. We got some more fun ones. I like this one because I'm very curious about this one actually, because you are simultaneously a Chiefs fan and a Cowboys fan, correct?
No,
Or-
not exactly.
Okay.
So
Tell the story. Tell the backstory.
my dad grew up in Oklahoma, right? So your options, if you wanted to cheer for you could root for the Packers, you could root for the Steelers, or you could root for the Cowboys, because those are going to be the only games you saw on TV. He chose the Cowboys. He passed that on to me, and they stink, dude. They, in my dad's lifetime, they were awesome. Won a bunch of Super Bowls. Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman. He got the greatest. In my lifetime, I'm 32 years old. The Cowboys have never contested a conference championship. Well, they did when I was 2. So they won the last Super Bowl when I was 2. So in my adult lifetime, they've never advanced to the conference championship round of the NFL playoffs. Their playoff experiences include the Romo botch snap fumble against Seattle, and then basically all the times the Dak has been blown out at home in the playoffs. So I was just like, and I moved to Kansas City the year the Chiefs drafted Mahomes. I was at the home opener the year they drafted him. I was at his first home start. Like, I just got swept up in it, and I was like, I'm done. I'm out, man. It was inescapable. I didn't. It's not like a conscious decision I made. I was just like, I would just rather the Chiefs win than the Cowboys for sure.
But that's how it should be, though, right? That's real fandom. Is if you weren't consciously just saying like, whatever, right. That's what the people with the bandwagon, conversation, they would say, oh, you're just gonna go hunt the new next good team. It's like, no, I've suffered through this misery. Now I'm in this city. I'm a part of this. There's this movement happening with this guy that, like you said, you just get swept up in it. That's real fandom.
Yes. So I still root for all the Kansas City teams. Like, I root for the Royals, I root for Sporting Kansas City, and I go to games here. I go to the Blues, I go to St. Louis City, whatever. And like, I don't care. It's fine. Like, I love going. Like, going to live sports is great, but I'm not like rooting for the Blues, because it's not the same thing.
Yeah. And I am. And as we're recording this is a miserable sweat. This is like sweat being in first in a DFS tournament, and a bunch of people have PMR behind you, and you're like praying to God no one scores any points as the end of this Blues season. Go on this magical run.
I thought they were locked in.
They're not locked in. The Flames have 2 games in hand, and basically need the Flames to lose. It's not that simple, but essentially, because the Blues have lost 3 in a row now after winning 12.
Okay, I told my wife the other day, I was like, they basically just need to win one more.
One out of 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not over. It's not over, but they need to win. Tomorrow is like must win of all must wins. It's like Clippers Warriors yesterday. Like, you want to play in the play-in, or you want to make the actual playoffs. Let's see here. Oh, so what I was going to ask, why I brought this whole fandom up. So you're in your basement, you find some lamp, right? Rub that baby. Genie pops out, but he grants you 3 wishes only for sports teams that you root for, not for yourself. What would the 3 wishes that you would grant for your sports teams that you root for?
That's so funny, because honestly, like, my sports life has been so full of joy. The Royals won the World Series when I was in college. I got to go. Like,
that's amazing.
10 out of 10. The Royals have been bad for 90% of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But like, who cares? You get a championship. You get like for me, you get like 20 years of a blessing.
They really have just been mediocre my whole life, and I got the 1 Stanley Cup run, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life.
The Avalanche won when I was 11, and then they won 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So can't complain there.
Yep.
I guess I don't feel sad at all about the Thunder. Like, it sucks. Honestly, I would rub this. I'd say go back 2011 finals. Kendrick Perkins doesn't play, and Thabo Sefolosha is inserted into the starting lineup, and Oklahoma City beats the Thunder with Harden, Ibaka, Westbrook, and Durant. That would be one of them. Rory McIlroy wins all the major championships this year.
Oh, that's a good one.
He wins the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, and the Open Championship all this year.
That's a good one.
That would be one of them. And God, I don't even know. Oklahoma. They figure they rub the genie and they stop trying to be a defensive team and they become an offensive team again. That they go back to Oklahoma. My whole life, the blueprint was Heisman Trophy, vote getting quarterback, score 35 points a game, and dare Texas to beat us. And now Brett Venables, who actually is a true story, he was his first job as a head. He's from the town I'm from. He's from Salina. His first coaching job was head coach of my rival high school.
No shit.
So I'm not going to say I want Brent Venables to get fired, but that they just I'm not even going to say wish them to win a national championship because it's bigger than that. I just want Oklahoma football to be Oklahoma football again. Right now, they're basically like Texas A&M. They're just like a tertiary program that might get in the playoff once every 3 years. No more of that. Like they need to get back to their identity.
It's disgusting to watch. Like the last 2 years have been truly disgusting to watch Oklahoma. I mean, they had Caleb Williams.
Brutal.
They had Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams on the same team. I know Rattler didn't really totally work out and turned it into this. What we just want. Like it's bad. It's really rough. So that's a good one. Along the similar lines. Just a couple more, and we'll get out of here. I like this one. One athlete that you get to kind of the genie type thing, but you get to redo his whole career. Can be injury, can be whatever. Pick what athlete would get a redo.
Sam Bradford.
Ooh, good one.
Give him the same coach for 4 years instead of Sam Bradford was the original. I got ruined by having a different coach and a different offensive coordinator, and then I tore my ACL, and then I got a different offensive coordinator, and then I got traded, and then I injured my shoulder. So I would give Sam Bradford because he was actually would have been incredible. There's been this revisionist history that Bradford was actually always bad, terrible number 1 overall pick. Totally not true. He actually would have been. He wouldn't have been Mahomes, Allen, that level, but he would have been like Joe Burrow light.
I was going to say a better Cousins, somewhere above.
Better Cousins, like the 7th best quarterback in the
right.
NFL. Yes, is who he could have been.
I can't rummage through it, but over in a closet right next to me there is a Sam. That's so funny. I have a Sam Bradford Rams jersey in there. So it shows you how much I care about it. It's tossed away in the closet down here. But yeah, Bradford. That was going to change the Rams, man. That was going to change everything about the Rams. I was so excited, and of course, so you just pulled that Sam Bradford figurine there. Is there anything that you collect?
Oh,
not
yeah.
Top Shots.
I collect all kinds of shit. The problem is that I am too I'm too scattered with the things I collect, so I'll get really into I don't have a collection. It's like, oh, look at this sick collection I have that's worth like a lot of money. So number one thing obviously is books. Like I just love to buy books, and I have like all kinds of little trinkets. I've got this. This is still in the package. This is Fox Mulder. This is from the X-Files movie. If you're from when they find the aliens in the ice. I've got a bunch of sports cards. Actually, I will say this: I'm probably the world's foremost collector of graded Lou Dort cards. I would say I'm probably no one else in the world has more graded and slabbed Lou Dort PSA 10s than me. They're up at the top there and they have lights on top of them. But they're probably about 30 graded Lou Dort cards sitting right above me.
Well, if you're gonna pick to be number 1 at something, I can't imagine anything better than Lou Dort.
I love that dude. Lou Dort. Come on the Taekcast. I've like reached out to his like manager and stuff. I don't think he like his. I've gotten this before. Like Byung-Han An's agent has told me this. They're like, oh, they're just not that comfortable doing long interviews in English.
Right.
Like I think he speaks really good English. Obviously, he's been here forever, but he didn't want. The agent told me no.
If he doesn't feel comfortable, like you said, just like a long form conversation with a stranger is, kind of an awkward thing
I
for
think
some people.
his OG language is French because he's from
Mhm.
Quebec, which is just really funny.
One of the craziest Lou Dort things is, and most people probably don't know, is he was an outstanding scorer in college, and
In
then
college
came
at
into the
Arizona
league
State.
and got the full Chuck Knobloch yips shooting the ball, and turned himself, was like, well, I can't score anymore. I better figure out how to be awesome on defense. And now he's just like top 5 defender in all of the NBA. It's crazy.
I hope they're not going to give it to him this year, but he should win Defensive Player of the Year.
They're going to give it to Draymond.
They're going to give it to Draymond, which is just like an actual joke.
Yes.
But he'll probably get first team all defense, which is really cool.
He's definitely first team all defense, which is shouts to Lou Dort. I love Lou Dort. Also a good pick in your playoff best ball drafts right now, by the way, as the last part of your Thunder team's last question, because I like this one and I want to make sure everybody gets it. If you had to do one of the two, you're going to go back in time or you get to go into the future. You, with all of your brain knowledge that you have right now, which one would you choose?
I mean, it's definitely back in time, right? You go back.
I'm waiting for the first person who says future, and I want to hear that question because we're 3 for 3 on back in time. So
yeah, it's for this group of people, it's like self-selecting. All these people are going to want to go back in time because they're like, oh, I know who won all the championship. It's Biff Sports Almanac, or you go back and you buy all the Bitcoin. You go back and you just buy millions of Bitcoin for $1 a pop, and you store it away and you come back and you're the richest person on earth. But there are some people who would rather go to the future, I'm sure, but you're not going to find any of them amongst best ball bros, right? Just no chance.
Everybody feels all the regrets. You feel every misery, like you said, Bitcoin, whatever. You feel all the things that could have made you money or would have made you more popular, right? Like you said, like I know who's going to win the Super Bowl. Like, oh, I'll teach this NBA team about the 3-point shot. You know what I mean? Like, revolutionize your favorite sport, or maybe we should stop running the ball 40 times a game in an NFL game. There's so many things you could do, whether it be for monetary purposes, popularity, whatever. But that's going to get us out of here, Davis. Thank you for joining us. I will just say everybody needs to go and subscribe to the Taekcast. I know they're already on your YouTube channel for best ball and all that kind of stuff. But along the lines of this form of content, I've been a longtime listener of the Taekcast, and it is fun to get one of our best ball bros in this space kind of talking about a myriad of different subjects that's of interest to them. That's like my favorite form of podcasting. I've long said that Davis could just like the Taekcast could absolutely take off. Like, I'm not saying Joe Rogan, but right, like that style of thing. You have a natural skill for it, and everybody needs to go and subscribe to that one for sure.
I appreciate you, man. It's so funny. It's like I love doing that show like the most of like anything I do, but like it's just hard to like engineer the SEO and game, and it's like it's just like a harder thing to market. But I will continue to do it forever. And this week's episode, which I think is going to be with Lan Larison from the University of California, Davis. He's an FCS running back prospect.
That's hilarious.
Been negotiating with him. Is going to be episode 400, which is fucking crazy. It's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of episodes, and what a perfect niche guest.
What a perfect guest.
That is so good. But we're gonna get out of here. We will see you guys next week. We've got some more guests lined up, and of course, get ready for best ball season, where you can get some draft streams, draft content, and everything here at Spike Week, and of course, over on Davis's channel. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.